All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all having a fantastic start to the day. A few things to talk about, right? We have a very busy week with economic news. We got a lot of Fed speakers. I think we got 14 Fed speakers here this week. We've got option expiration on Friday. So I imagine it's going to be a relatively choppy week, right? Now, other thing worth considering, last week, Doji inside bar, right? Really low volume consolidation. So it's not like we have a very strong trending narrative here in the short term, right? We're waiting for price action to become consistent. We're waiting for price action to be a little bit smoother. We're waiting for narratives to be just a little bit nicer here this morning. And if they aren't particularly high conviction, if they aren't going to give us, a very nice little, kind of cooperation, right, from price action, if we're not going to get very smooth narratives, if we're not going to get anything that's really, high conviction, then there's no reason for me to force a decision. There's no reason for me to overtrade. There's going to be no reason for me to do anything, right? Just keep zooming out. Look at what the price action has done here for the last month and a half, right? 90 days, even if you want to go that far back. We've been stuck. So we can't force anything until, we get that kind of smooth narrative. So in the short term, right, it's just going to require us to be very patient, not to overtrade, not to force any decisions, not do anything stupid, right? And just keep kind of compounding and stacking up our little wins, right? In the short term, last week was a great week, right? We had 5 trades last week. We had 5 wins. So if we just keep kind of staying in our lane, right, focusing on the variables we can control, then everything else will fall into place. But when we force decisions, when we try to overtrade, when we try to forced price action isn't there, then we screw ourselves over and we put ourselves in situations where it's impossible to be successful. So this week, right, is really going to be about, again, right, controlling the variables we can't control, not allowing the headlines to frustrate us, and just putting ourselves in situations where it's easy to be successful. The market does not care how long it's been from your last A+ trade. Market does not care how long it's been since your last win. It doesn't care how long it's been since your last loss. And so we've got to stay present, right, in the moment, focus on the things that, we are directly responsible for. Don't overtrade. We can't rush into decisions. We can't do any of those kind of random things, right? And we just got to be very responsible, disciplined traders. And then when we do those things, right, then we make money. When we ignore those variables, we lose money and we get crushed and we get frustrated and we say, woe is me, and we get annoyed that the market's not giving us what we want. And so we need to just continue to control the variables, right? And everything else will then fall into place. So good morning, Keith, T. Crone, Jay, Dayon, Jesus. Hope you guys are all having a great start to the AM. And with that sort of preamble out of the way, let's start mapping things out here a little bit and kind of figure out what we want to do. Short term, right? We've been stuck. Last week, like I said, right? Inside bar week, Doji. So a lot of sort of indecision. Good morning, Fernando. Good morning, Jason. So we're still looking for a basically breakout from that indecision, right? That 415 barrier is still very much going to be that level I'm looking at here this morning. And I'm not going to be forcing any decisions until that happens, right? Higher high, lower low on Friday. So really indecisive price action. That's not exactly a high conviction look, right? So going to be waiting for that to break out. Not too much is going to be changing there. Call this least bearish, right? Least bearish. Plus, okay, increasing vol, just barely. I think gap up. So week 2 out of 3 here to the downside, right? And it's a weak because the candle shape is not particularly strong. Right, and we want to see a high vol breakout above basically last week's high, right? So if last week we had basically a 415 high, we're looking for a breakout above that inside bar high, right? If we can get up and over there, then we can start to have a path towards like that 420 area. Nice. And then, room may be up towards sort of that 425 barrier, something along those lines. To the downside, right? VIX hanging out 17.59. So I really don't have a downside case that I'm interested in. We don't even have any evidence that those downside moves are sustaining here recently, right? Both days where we've had quote unquote red trend days, they've ended up being dip buy opportunities from bulls. So I don't see any reason for me to be bearish until we break out maybe from this wedge pattern long term, right? And so as long as that's the case, not too much is going to be changing for me here. We're just looking for a formal consolidation outside, formal breakout, sorry, from this consolidation. And I'm going to be ignoring everything else until that happens and just yeah, really just not getting too overwhelmed, not getting too frustrated, right? Controlling the variables I can't control, and then everything else will fall into place. Okay, QQQ. Right, okay, not quite an inside bar last week, but not exactly very enthusiastic looking price action there either, right? Okay, we made a higher high, made a higher low, but decreasing volume right now, third week in a row of decreasing volume. So we want to be a little bit cautious with some of these narratives. On Friday again, right, we had that least bearish candle, increasing volume, and then gap up. So same narrative like the SPY, got a week 2 out of 3 for us to deal with, right? So least bearish, increasing vol, gap up, right? So week 2 out of 3 here to the downside, right? Candles red, that's why we're saying downside. And we don't have a bearish bias here, right? We don't really have a narrative that we want to fall in love with here. Downside, no evidence that those moves are sustaining either direction. So I'm more looking for a bullish breakout here than a bearish breakdown. I mean, okay, we're gonna have to maybe get up and over that, say 328 this morning potentially. And that doesn't seem like that's going to be a very convincing narrative. We're also opening up in the basically middle of previous day's range. So again, right, not a spot where I'm going to be super enthusiastic to want to be chasing a breakout or a breakdown here. I'm basically being told that we've got a day of consolidation ahead of us on QQQ, right? No real indication of strong trending price action. Opening up in the middle of the previous day's range and then kind of getting mixed signals, right, from candle, volume, gap up. So everything here is telling me, okay, probably more one to watch versus one to trade. So we're going to be very, very kind of patient looking for that breakout, right? That 328 area, and then no real setups in between on the index level. If we get through that 328, okay, we probably have some space. We'll just sanity check these levels here just a little bit, right? We got, okay, towards 334, we've got mapped out, right? Which is sort of like that August 2022 high, fine. And yeah, we just got it filled out dollar along the way, right? 331, 330, right? So nothing looks too crazy there, but today doesn't look like it's going to be a session where I want to be very aggressive, right? Let's see if we can just basically get a high conviction look, right? Up and over through that 328 mark. And then if we can get that opportunity, awesome. If not, okay, well, I'm not going to force it. Not going to overtrade. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm going to stick to my guns, right? And hopefully maybe we get a leading name or two that wants to give us a high conviction look in to the upside, right? Okay. Apple, lower low, lower high here. Kind of looked like it bounced off that 171 a little bit there on Friday. On decreasing volume. Again, though, right? Middle of that range. Not too much reason to be very aggressive here. A bit of a trend line maybe as well, right? Something along those lines. We got a bit of a work to do for us to like retouch off that trend line. Similar narrative to QQQ, right? We're kind of middle of that range. I need to get up and over that 175 barrier. That seems to be the upper end of that resistance. So again, right, until that happens, there's not really a reason for me to be aggressive here today. So we're looking for a breakout there. Not too much is changing, right, until we basically break out of this, call it baby consolidation zone, right, from say 171 to 175. So I need to see that basically happen before I'm willing to do anything. Again, right, least bearish here. Plus decreasing vol, plus gap up. So a week 1 out of 3 this time. So maybe a slightly easier opportunity for bulls to step in and take over control, but not exactly a strong indication that they're in control yet, right? So we need more information here before I'm willing to kind of make that claim. Again, right, if I'm going to get a breakout above that 175, I need to see bigger volume than what I saw preferably yesterday or preferably on Friday. Best case scenario, right, is biggest volume standard of the week. And then, okay, above 175, we're going to have a little bit of space towards like that 180 shelf. And then maybe up and over towards like that 184, 183, that kind of area. To the downside at this point, can't really unsee this trend line. So we need to lose that and VIX get back above 20. Both of those seem unlikely to happen here this morning. So I'm going to be pretty cautious and pretty patient until that narrative becomes just a little bit smoother. And for now, I'm not going to be forcing a decision or over trading here or doing anything silly. Just going to be putting myself in a situation where it's pretty easy to kind of sit on hands, right, until I kind of get proven otherwise. So be very cautious here, right? Wait for that consolidation breakout. And then once it happens, okay, sweet, we can get some follow through. But until that's the case, right, I don't see a reason to be aggressive. And then all the news narratives here this week are telling me to be chill, right, to be cautious. We got a million Fed speakers, we got option expiration, so let's just wait for that narrative to be consistent and smooth and clean and easy to take advantage of, and just ignore everything else. Okay, Tesla. Bit of an outlier here, right? Big sell-off on big volume, strong candle, maybe a little bit of capitulation volume, right? All things considered, to get rid of some of these charts for a sec. But what we've seen here recently, right, is those big kind of bearish days kind of don't give us too much follow through from those areas, right? So okay, maybe you get a little bit of action a few more times, but like, okay, here's a good example, right? Doesn't really lead to more downside follow through. Doesn't really lead to that much more downside follow through, right? Doesn't really lead to that much more downside follow through, right? Doesn't really lead to that much more downside follow through. So what we've seen over the last little bit, right, is on Tesla, maybe this is a bit of a spot where yeah, just those big volume bars are a little bit of like capitulation volume from bears or exhaustion volume from bears. And so I'm not going to be very aggressive chasing this either, right? This is a little bit of an outlier though on a technical level, right? Strong candle, really strong volume profile, and a little bit of a gap down. So we do have a 3 for 3 here technically to the downside, and a news narrative, right? So Elon Musk is, you know, back to focusing on Tesla full time here. And so I want to be a little bit skeptical or a little bit cautious until things look cleaner and smoother. But when they do look kind of nice, right, when they do kind of give me that sort of, you know, high conviction look, maybe this is a good spot for like a Bollinger Band reversal here this morning, right, where if this is like a bit of a laggard play, we're going to be at the bottom of that range, right? We're going to be opening up, you know, relatively, these are pretty compressed bands. Maybe it's even a Bollinger breakout scenario. But maybe there's an opportunity, right, to look for sort of a reversal here if that volume steps in and if we can get a little bit of enthusiasm. But there's no real reason for me to be very aggressive forcing this either, right? We're talking about wanting to trade smooth, consistent, clean narratives, and this is kind of telling us a different story than everything else we've seen here so far today. I got no reason to want to force a decision, right, and try to play an outlier and play hero ball until this looks perfect, right? So 3 for 3 here to the downside. We'll call this a full body bearish, plus increasing outlier vol, possibly, we'll call it possible exhaustion. Hey, good morning, David. And then gap down, so 3 for 3 here to the downside. And it's a relatively strong 3 for 3, right? I'm not going to get too attached to this. Now, am I going to chase a breakdown here? No, right? VIX is still well under 20, so I don't have a narrative that I want to kind of get paid out for. We're not seeing that sort of kind of really step up. So this is more of a kind of get a high vol BB bounce, right? Or high vol BB reversal. Slash kind of start telling right? So if Tesla's a bit of an outlier here to the downside, I'm not going to be forcing a decision to try to rush this thing lower, right? I'm going to be pretty patient, kind of give it the benefit of the doubt here that okay, a little bit of an overreaction on that news narrative there on Friday. Maybe we can reverse this, right? Maybe we can find some support off the bottom of this range. Maybe we can find a little bit of enthusiasm, but no real reason for me to want to be, you know, just forcing this to the downside if everything else is a little bit stuck. So probably not going to be a breakout name here, more of just a BB spot, right? MA cross spot, but we need to see that volume step in and tell us that high conviction narrative. Otherwise, no real desire for me to force anything. One sec, guys. All right, Microsoft. Continuing to stay inside this sort of, pseudo channel here, right? Really decreasing volume inside bar there on Friday. So real formal consolidation on really weak volume. So same thing like we're pretty much seeing across the board, right? We're not getting too many very strong narratives here that are giving me high conviction looks, but at least we have an opportunity where we can look for a breakout, maybe above sort of like that 311 area, right? So we got least bearish, plus decreasing vol, plus gap up. So weak 1 out of 3, so we can look for trend reversals here. Right now, trend reversals can be like an MA cross, BB bounce, whatever, right? Right, and then alternatively, we're looking for a move above about 311, right? So we're looking for a breakout through Thursday's high, and then we can kind of get up towards sort of like that 313, 314 barrier. Block should be there now, Fernando. So say 311, right? 312, 313. Okay, then we got this thing filled out well past. We can look to our left, right? Sandy check some of those levels. We know that that next shelf, okay, like 317, we've got that. And then like that 326 zone, right, should be in play as well. So we don't need to be too aggressive here in the short term. But if I can get that breakout above Thursday's high on some volume, especially if I can get back to like Thursday's volume standard, it's interesting, right? It'll become a little bit interesting for me to take advantage of. But I'm not going to be aggressive here, right, until proven otherwise. Everything is telling me consolidation. Everything is telling me I need to be patient. Everything is telling me slow down, right? So I'm not going to be that trader here today that's going to be hyper aggressive, forcing a decision just because I want some action, right? So if it gives me a perfect look, awesome. If not, well, no worries. I'll sit on hands. I'll go do something more enjoyable with my life. I don't need to force a trade if it isn't there. Okay. AMD. Okay, a little bit of a pullback there on Friday. Decreasing volume, right, which is nice to see. Well below average. Not exactly a huge sign of relative strength, but we're opening up in the middle of Friday's range, right? So we're not exactly being told that we've got an indication of anything besides kind of consolidation, right? The most likely outcome here is that we probably get stuck in an inside bar. We can't make a higher high and we can't make a lower low. So we just get stuck inside, previous day's range. I do want to be a little bit, cautious here, right? It's going to be the nice way of describing it. All that again, right? Least bearish, right? Decreasing vol. And then it's a nothing gap. So we'll call this a 1.5. Out of 3 to the downside, right? And it's a weak one. So not exactly a strong day of price action here ahead for AMD, or it doesn't, that's not really giving me that indicator here this morning. Maybe the best move would be to find like a dip buy basically inside this area. Right, something along those lines. That would maybe be the most interesting story. So if I could find maybe like a dip buy inside that box, that would be kind of mostly what I'm interested in here. Kind of like dip buy inside green box, right? Or like I said, kind of have that $100 psych level that I want to break out from, and I would need to see high vol conviction move until that happens. Maybe just to catch its breath in the short term. Right, so dip buy inside that green box or breakout above 100, or kind of middle that range. So I'm not expecting a ton of enthusiasm there, right? So dip buy. Sorry. Right, so $100 mark, a little bit of a ways away. I'm not going to be very aggressive forcing that decision. Then, like I said, right, that box is going to be sort of the spot where I'm most interested in, but that feels a little bit unlikely here today. Again, right, we're like 3% away from a breakout, 3% away from a breakdown or a dip buy spot. So it just feels like it's setting up to be an inside bar day here, and no real reason to be hyper aggressive. We have a few names left to go over, so if you guys have any requests you want to go over, any names that you're looking at here this morning, any tickers that you're interested in, please pop them in the chat. We'll do just before kind of market opens here, or as as we kind of finish up this pre-market prep. So please feel free to use the chat, ask questions, get involved. But yeah, we'll see if something else kind of sets up here this AM. Okay, NVIDIA, right? Again, dojis, right? Across the board, not quite an inside bar on this case, but indecisive price action. We're opening up in the middle of that indecision. So we'll call it doji bearish plus decreasing vol plus gap up. So week 1 out of 3 here to the downside, right? Red candle, red volume, gap up. Not exactly a high conviction look. I can look for like an MA cross, right? Type setup here this morning. Or like a BB breakout on volume. But same narrative like we just talked about with that AMD, where we're literally opening up in the middle of the previous day's range, right? We're, okay, 350 from the top, right? $4 from the bottom. So not exactly a high conviction range for us to be stuck in, right? So I need to see some conviction, right, in this price action before I'm willing to take a stab here. If I'm going to be saying that we're looking for trending price action and we're stuck inside this range, no indication that this is actually trending, right? So waiting for that proven otherwise, or waiting for that high conviction breakout, because then I have a little bit of an opportunity. Now we got that bull flag here that's still setting up, you know, kind of relatively still holding. Okay, still in play to a certain extent, but I don't have a really strong indication that bulls are in control. I don't really have a strong indication that bears are in control. So why force a decision here, right? Until I'm being told I have an A+ look. So again, right, same thing like we're seeing on a lot of these names here today. We need to see that sort of indication of trending price action. We need to see some indication that either bulls are, you know, kind of have momentum, or bears have momentum, right? And we've just got so many narratives here this week that it feels unlikely that we're going to get that easily. We got to be patient, right, until those stories kind of sync up. So again, right, real cautious here until proven otherwise. We get that high volume MA cross. If we get that high conviction look, okay, right, we can take an opportunity to maybe see if we can find something. But everything across the board is telling me that same indecision narrative, right? We have so many inside bars. We've got so much consolidation. We've got so many decreasing volume profiles that I'm not being given any evidence to suggest that today is going to be a day where I need to be very aggressive with my trading decisions. Okay, Meta. So a little bit of an ascending wedge pattern here, right? That 239 barrier, that's still going to be the target. Bounced off of this trend line that we identified on Friday. So nice little bounce there. Decreasing volume, least bearish candle, nice little gap up. And we're about 1% away from sort of our breakout targets. Maybe a little bit more of a realistic zone here for us to look for that pop up and over. But again, right, we need to break out of this possible consolidation pattern on some volume, probably bigger volume than what we saw on Friday, bigger volume than what we saw on Thursday. And then there's an indication that we can maybe get some trending price action, right? So again, right, possible ascending wedge. Plus least bearish candle, right? Plus decreasing vol. Plus gap up. So week 1 out of 3 here to the downside. So we're looking for a possible trend reversal, right? Trend reversal just means looking for a opportunity for green candles to basically step in here this morning. But I need to see a breakout above that 239 barrier. Not too much is changing, right? We've got kind of more evidence of that 239 being a spot where we see now price action bounce and hold versus being a spot where we reject. So it seems like kind of a bit of a point that we need to be focusing on. And if I can get a breakout up and over, okay, we got that 240 cycle level, and we kind of go like 242, 243, right, 244. So we got a little bit of space higher. And then all the way left, right, we kind of have to fill this up towards like where that gap starts to get defended at that 250 barrier. That's kind of where it's mapped out, but I'm really just going to be focusing on that until price action looks absolutely perfect, or until I've got something to take advantage of. Again, right, volume's going to be the narrative that I'm missing here, right? If I got really decreasing volume, if I don't have, like if Friday wasn't trending price action, then I need to see bigger volume than Friday if I'm going to say that bulls are in control here, right? So that's going to be what I'm waiting for. That's the kind of narrative that I'm crossing my fingers for here this morning. And we'll see if we can get that high conviction look. If I can't, okay, I'm not going to hold it against myself. Not going to get too aggressive. I'm not going to be whatever. I'll be happy to sit on hands. I really don't care. So I just got to be very patient, right? Wait for that perfect A+ look. And then if I get that look, okay, take advantage of it. We have a plan. We know what we're looking to do. But everything else, right, it's just going to be a distraction and noise and trying to trick me into making a decision I don't want to make. There's no reason for me to force a decision or overtrade until I kind of get that proven otherwise. Yay. Amazon, a little bit of a rejection on the weekly, or looks a little bit like a fake out on the weekly. Not the greatest look. Again, right? Middle of the Friday's range, right? So we're a $1.85 from the highs, a $1.56 from the lows. Not exactly a high conviction look in either direction. Back-to-back days just kind of looks like a doji, right? Yeah, I think realistically probably need to break out above 113.50. This is just a rejection above, right, Friday's high. I don't see the reason to be aggressive here. Yeah, I think this is probably still one to watch versus one to trade. No real indication that I want to go trend reversal, because we're going trend reversal into an area where we've seen a rejection before, or an area where price action's basically gotten stuck. Alternatively, maybe the only move here is kind of the same thing like we talked about that AMD, where we basically just look for a dip buy inside a high vol area of support. So if I can get that opportunity, right, that might be the that might be more the narrative that I'm interested in. So one to watch versus trade, unless but I'm not super optimistic that that's going to be a setup here for me this morning. I think it's probably, again, right, a name where back-to-back days kind of looks like a doji. So high vol dip buy inside the green box. Right, so we're just looking to try to validate some of that indecision that we're seeing there, and so that's why there's no reason to be very aggressive, right, until I kind of get that proven otherwise. So slow and steady here, wait for a high conviction look, but I don't really feel like I have an easy opportunity, at least not this morning, right? So very slow, very cautious. I got to be very patient, very deliberate with my decisions, and until I get those opportunities, right, there's no reason for me to force any trades. Got a request for Google here this morning. Okay, fake out higher high. Right now, gapping down under sort of its previous day's low. I think this is probably the spot where you'd be more wanting to buy here. Right, okay, this has got a little bit of volume to it. Certainly looks a little bit interesting, but it's defending a big gap, right? So I think that gap's probably going to want to get filled. And then if that gap gets filled, right, then you're going to have the risk reward to maybe be able to chase this thing higher. Otherwise, right, you need to see a high volume breakout above sort of that 118. And then alternatively, this could be setting up for like a Bollinger Band play. But I don't think these bands are going to be fat enough to want to be super aggressive here. So I think, yeah, your risk reward, your best risk reward zone is going to be if you can get a pullback kind of into that green area, right? Kind of bounce off of that 110 zone, and then you can maybe get a little bit of room higher, or look for a breakout above like the 118 zone. But everything in between is going to be I'm going to be a little bit skeptical of, maybe a little bit extended, right? All of a sudden. So yeah, I don't see a reason here to be very aggressive until I kind of get that proven otherwise. So for me in the short term, this is probably not a name I'd be super interested in trading. And that feels really consistent with all the narratives that we're seeing pretty much everywhere, right? Where we're opening up in the middle of consolidation. We're opening up in the kind of, like we had an inside bar on the weekly, right? On a lot of these names, a lot of dojis, a lot of kind of thin price action, a lot of borderline rejections. So not a ton of information here that's giving us high conviction looks. So we need more info, right, from price action. We need more info from the markets to start to kind of give us a little bit of conviction that, hey, today's actually going to be a tradable session, or today's going to be a tradable, or today we're going to get a lot of A+ looks. I don't really have that feeling across the board, right? I'm pretty much being told that this is price action that requires caution from me, that requires me to be patient, that requires me to wait for more information. And until I get that, I have nothing to do here besides sit on hands. So we'll see, right? We got a few looks where I could be interested in, right? Maybe a few MA crosses we can get, like same thing we traded on Friday. And so we can get those opportunities. Awesome. Maybe like this Tesla, right? Little BB reversal if that volume steps in. But everything pretty much telling me the same story of let's wait for more info. Let's wait for a high conviction look. And then once we get those narratives, it's a little bit easier to fall in love with stuff, right? Like we talked about, we got a ton of Fed speakers here this week. I think we got 14 Fed speakers in 5 days, which must be some sort of new record for their speaking fees. We've got retail sales tomorrow. We've got housing starts. We got jobless claims, right? So we got a lot of data here this week that could also influence things and maybe at least create a situation where we're starting to get an indication of some trending price action. But short term, at least today, doesn't seem like we've got much of a narrative to fall in love with. So there's no reason for me to be hyper aggressive or forcing anything or doing anything silly until I kind of get a proven otherwise. So that's what I'm waiting for. That's kind of what I'm cheering for here today. Try to see if I can get some resolution out of this indecision. And then if those narratives sync up, we'll have a little bit of fun. If not, well, no big deal, right? We had a strong week last week. I'm not going to force anything here today, this week. And what we've seen over the last little bit is that Mondays have maybe been a little bit of a slower day here, at least the last few Mondays. And so I'm not going to be aggressive until I kind of get that proven otherwise, right? So let's be patient. Let's be cautious. Let's wait for things to be absolutely perfect. And then once we have those kind of narratives syncing up, we'll know to take advantage of it. We've got a few minutes here till market open. So I'm going to go make myself a quick cup of coffee, spend a few minutes here sort of visualizing a successful trading day. And then we'll do a quick little pre-market rundown before the session starts. If you guys have any questions, anything you want to go over, please pop in the chat. We'll do a quick little rundown of that here before the day starts as well. And yeah, hopefully we can get a good setup or two, but I'm not going to force any trades. I'm not going to rush into a decision just because it's DTR Monday. I'm going to just stick to my guns, right? Wait for my A+ setup and then hope that everything else kind of fall into place. So let's have ourselves a big session. Let's have ourselves a lot of fun out there. But please, let's not make any dumb decisions and throw away our money just because we want to be entertained. If you want to be entertained, go take your dog for a walk. Go play some video games. Do something more fun. Don't force the market to be your entertainment today, right? Be disciplined, be in control. Focus on the variables you can control, and then everything else will fall into place. The more you try to force your P&L, the more you try to force a decision, the more that just kind of works against you and it costs you money. So don't be that trader here today. Start building new positive green habits and allow winning trades to come to you. Don't try to force winning trades. So we'll be back at it again here in a minute or two, and then we'll do a quick little pre-market rundown before the session starts, and we'll see if we can get a nice setup or two here this morning. All right, so let's do a quick little rundown here before the session starts. Looks very indecisive out there, right? Inside bar on the weekly on the SPY last week, right? Very low volume. You had the two lowest volume bar days in like the last 2 years last week, and not really too much of a range, right? So we're looking for basic consolidation breakout here. A ton of Fed speak with option expiration on Friday. So we got a lot of kind of news narratives that kind of make markets remain stuck. And then pretty much across the board, right, we're seeing a lot of opens here this week that are basically in the middle of Friday's range. So kind of, indecisive price action, not particularly strong looks. There's a few outliers here and there that we'll try to focus on, but we need to see strong volume profiles here this morning, right? We need to see high conviction kind of volume looks. We need to see kind of breakouts from some of these patterns. We need to see a little bit more information, right, to be easily bullish or easily bearish. I don't really have a bear case almost anywhere. Still VIX sub 20. So I'm not a very aggressive bearish trader as long as that's the case. And I'll be looking for breakouts. I like the look of Meta here if we can get above that 239. Kind of like Tesla as a possible exhaustion play if the volume steps in. It's got that news narrative, right, kind of hanging out in the back, right? So maybe there's a little bit of joy there, but everything else, I need to be patient, right? I cannot force a decision. I cannot be that trader who needs to have or craves action here this morning. I got to wait for things to be absolutely perfect. And then when they're perfect, okay, right? Then there's a story I can kind of fall in love with. But everything else in between, right? I'm being told I need to be patient. I need to be cautious. I need to wait for kind of my A+ look. And I'm not going to be in a rush to force any decisions or force any trades until I kind of get that proven otherwise. So Meta is going to be top of the watch list here this morning. And that's pretty much it. Tesla, maybe if I can get like an overreaction flush or an exhaustion move, something along those lines. But nothing's giving me a super, A+ look here in the AM. Got a lot of kind of price action that's telling me I need to get trend breakouts or, more decisive price action. So until that happens, right, I'm going to be pretty patient. I'm going to be pretty chill. Be waiting for my perfect A+ look, and we'll see what sets up here this morning. But there's going to be nothing for me to overtrade. Nothing for me to force, nothing for me to do stupidly, and we'll just see kind of where that momentum steps up here this morning. So have ourselves a big session, right? Let's control the variables that we can control. Let's not try to be, too aggressive here this morning. And maybe this is an opportunity where we can look for like, selling premium or something along those lines. But nothing for me to do, guys, here besides, be patient. Wait for my A+ look, and then we'll kind of see how the day shapes up from there. So like I said, Meta is going to be top of the watch list. Everything else going to be a little bit behind. And yeah, we'll see kind of where the day shapes up. Yeah, what kind of new information we can kind of get here this morning. If there's any names that you're looking at, any tickers that you're interested in, any trades that you're taking, please use the chat. Happy to answer any questions. Just because I don't trade it doesn't mean you can't. But yeah, I'm going to be focusing on my sort of, 9 tickers that I normally look at. And we'll see if we can get some narratives there, but not going to be forcing any decisions in the short term. But happy to kind of walk you guys through what I would do, if you're trading like a Roku or a BA or one of those names. And we can kind of go over some of that price action if you're interested. Obviously, the more questions you can ask, the easier that makes my job here on DTR Monday. So, just always happy to answer any questions if you have them. But anticipating a relatively choppy session, anticipating relatively indecisive price action here this morning, and going to need to see really impressive volume standards for me to be convinced otherwise. And so as long as we're chilling out, as long as we're hanging out in sort of these low volume environments, I'm going to be pretty patient and just really not forcing any decisions until things look A+. So slow and steady here this AM. Let's see where that momentum shows up. Let's see if we can get some A+ looks. But let's please not force anything, right, until we get sort of a proven otherwise. I'm assuming a lot of consolidation here this morning, right? Assuming a lot of chop, assuming those Fed speakers are going to want to be as annoying as possible. So there's no reason for me to force a decision. No reason for me to overtrade. No reason for me to do anything silly. I just need to protect my capital, both physical and mental, until conditions look more trend-based or like they're a higher probability of trending. And maybe we can get that, set up that sort of base here this morning and then take advantage of it rest of the week. So we'll see how it goes. We had no trades on Monday last week, but then, had 5 trades rest of the week and all of them were winners, right? So maybe we just have to be patient and cautious. And Mondays are just days that aren't going to be rewarding very many aggressive decision making. So be patient, guys. I'm going to keep repeating myself. I'm going to be a little bit maybe psychotic with just, sticking to making sure I'm following my rules, right? Not allowing this price action to kind of drain my mental capital, not trick me into a decision I don't want to make. And if we can get those high conviction looks, awesome. If not, fine, right? Market doesn't care how long it's been since my last trade. It doesn't care how long it's been since my last win. Doesn't care how long it's been since my last A+. Yeah, and we can kind of go from there. So yeah, the DTR signals, T-Chrome, the blue here is an MA cross, right? So you have 9/21 MA cross, and then you're looking for that first weak pullback after the cross, right? And then the green is a Bollinger Band reversal signal or breakout signal, and it's the first red candle after a green candle after like a BB breakout or BB reversal. So both of those signals are just formalized versions of weak pullbacks after a breakout or weak pullbacks after a trend reversal. And you're trying to see how that kind of wants to behave post breakout, right? So once you get a trend established, you're looking to buy on a weak pullback to basically give you the risk reward ratio to justify that trade. Hey, good morning, Rusty. How you doing? Okay, it's not bad from Tesla. Not the greatest volume though, right? Well below the standard we saw there on Friday. So I'd be a little bit cautious. Right, probably not enough volume for me to be hyper aggressive here. Meta, not super high conviction here yet, right? Like I said, we're looking for that breakout above 239. Looks like a little bit of a rejection. Decent volume standard at the very least, right? Biggest volume that we've seen here in the last couple days. So that's at least something. But again, right? No reason for me to be aggressive here. And if I'm chasing this move lower, not getting the risk reward towards that lower Bollinger Band, right? As stands, I'm risking like 70, sorry, I'm trying to make 70 cents, but risking $1.40 doesn't make a ton of sense, right? So not a play I'm super interested in. I need to be a little bit patient, right? Need to be a little bit cautious still. Wait for a high conviction look, right? Wait for an opportunity. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get those looks here off this opening bell. Need to be slow, right? If I have to wait for the first hour of the day, first 90 minutes, fine, so be it. I just cannot be in a position, right, where I'm trying to force a trade. That's just only going to get me stuck in one spot here this morning. So my base assumption here today, chop until proven otherwise. And yeah, gonna be really waiting for perfect A+ looks. And I think it's gonna be hard to get one today. AMD, maybe a little bit interesting as a possible BB breakout. We want to see this volume probably be less than the Friday close volume if we can get there. That could be interesting. Best case scenario would be get like 2-to-1 risk reward towards high a day. Right, that would be sweet. So as stands, you're kind of getting that just about. So stop loss, right, would have to be 94.50. Right, so if you can risk like 25 cents to make 80 cents, right, that's a pretty reasonable risk reward ratio. I could definitely get behind that, but I want to see a decent pullback here. So let's see. I will be interested in this. So I have everything set up, right? I know where my stop loss needs to be. Stop loss 94.50. I basically want to see a fake out under that low. Give me the ultimate risk reward ratio here. I want to buy an overreaction flush. I don't want to buy this just like little bounce off of this Bollinger Band. I want to buy that overreaction flush. Okay, didn't get the risk reward here to chase this play, right? So still in play technically because we're still inside this inside bar here. So I can still get that pullback right under that 94.75, right under that kind of range. Still be interesting. Meta, okay, maybe on this 10-min time frame or 15-min time frame we can get a look. Short term though, not in play. But really the only thing that's potentially interesting right now is this AMD cross. And the reason why this is interesting as a BB play, right, is because we got bigger volume off the opening 5-min candle than anything we saw there on Friday. Right, so pretty nice look there, all things considered, decent volume standard. It's enough for us to say that bulls are in control here. So let's see if we can basically buy an overreaction flush, right, under that 94.75, 20 cents away, and then kind of go for it. But as price action stands here, right, you're risking 45 cents, right, to make 75 cents. Not good enough risk reward ratio to justify that trade. I need to have the risk reward that, you know, kind of makes this play reasonable, right? If it runs from here, I really don't care. Because if I take this trade as is, I don't have a positive expectation of making money on this if I take this 1,000 times, right? So, okay, sweet. Looks like this is going to kind of go a little bit. Not going to get the pullback I'm looking for. So I can pass on that burden, right, to a longer time frame. I can look for a breakout on the 10. I can look for a breakout on the 15. I can do X, Y, Z. But I don't need to force a decision here short term. Right, if it goes inside bar here on this 5-min, I can still wait for that pullback into my entry zone, right? But if it's not going to give me that risk reward ratio, if it's not going to give me that perfect A+, I am just not going to be forcing it. I can't rush into this. Can't be that guy, right? Every time I rush into a trade, every time I force a decision, every time I disregard my rules, I just make it easier to break them in the future. And then maybe I would have made money on this trade. Okay, sweet, right? I'd be up 30 cents a share. But is that not really a, like, that little payout's not worth the discipline that you're costing yourself, right? Because that's just going to cheat you of your future gains going forward. Because the next time you're going to go to break a rule, it's going to be even easier, right? And that's going to cost you even more money in the future. So I do not care if this thing runs without me. It's got to always run when it follows my rules, right? If it doesn't follow my rules, who cares, right? I would have had to have broken my rules to trade it. And if I have to break my rules to trade it, then that's probably not a trade I want to take. So if it's strong, it'll give me multiple times to set up. It'll give me multiple setups. And yeah, okay, I'll have an opportunity then. If it's not strong, then it's going to try to trick me into making the first entry, the first trade, the first whatever. And it's just not worth it, right? So on this 15 min, maybe we can get a pullback here, BB breakout, you know, little risk reward zone, whatever, right? But we're 15 minutes away from that trade. Didn't get the pullback I wanted. Right? Maybe on this BB breakout here, we can get a look on Tesla. But I can't hold it against myself, right? When things move without following my rules. Can't torture myself with those hypothetical gains where I'd have to break my system or break my rules to be profitable, right? It's not worth it. Can't do that to yourself. You're draining your mental capital doing that. So I'd always rather be patient. I'd always rather be too cautious. Wait for things to be perfect. And then when they are, it'll be obvious to us. And if they aren't, we'll remain stuck, right? No big deal. Not like the SPY's exactly moving anywhere. It's not like QQQ's exactly moving anywhere. So very much in the middle of those ranges. Kind of the price action we talked about here to start the day off. So no need to overreact, right, to a green bar here. Just be patient. So creeping back up closer, right? This is why we don't chase. This is exactly why we don't chase. Right? Because if you now are in this play, you're right back to your entry price. You're pulling your hair out. You're frustrated as hell. And you're like, why? This price action makes no sense, right? That's what you'd be telling yourself. And of course it makes no sense, right? Because you entered without it following your rules. So you didn't have a plan or a structure on how you anticipated this price action to move. So when it now moves where like your P&L, right, moves against you, then that no longer makes any sense because your plan was to make money, not to follow your trading rules. So now when you're down or you're scratch or you're up, you know, in the most stressful trade of your life, of course, right? You're not trading for your process, you're trading for an outcome in that context. If I have to sit on hands, if I have to be more patient, if I have to be more disciplined, so be it. I'm willing to wait, right? Because that makes me more money than chasing this. Right? Any entry under that 94.75 area, right? Still looks interesting. Just no reason to force it yet. No matter how much we want to trade, we got to make sure that it's perfect before we do. So I have my entire order set up here just in case, right? Stop loss 94. My stop loss gonna be 94.45, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of leeway. 5 cents of leeway, right? And I'm just waiting for a pullback into that zone. If it doesn't give me that pullback, no big deal. If it does, okay, sweet. But I'm trying to make my process as binary as possible, right? Fine, right? So decreasing volume profile there, still in play. Looks like an inside bar, right? So still in play. If I can get that overreaction flush, right? That's interesting. Not just gonna be chasing this though, just for the sake of it, right? It's got to be perfect. So back to watching here, right? Back to watching. Let's see if we can get an overreaction flush inside this area. Still no entry, right? I'm being very disciplined here. Just watching the markets, right? I can always get a better price than the first one I think I can get, right? Always. Okay, getting closer, getting closer. Screen's being a little bit glitchy, or it seems like it's kind of flashing, so apologies for that if that's causing you guys some discomfort. Still waiting here though, right? Still waiting. Right? Just because QQQ is making lower lows, I don't want to be forcing this yet. I didn't say this feels perfect yet. Right? So Don't need to try to catch a falling knife here if everything's breaking down. All right, I can be patient. I can be cautious. I can slow down my process, right? Maybe if I got a perfect entry, I'm up 5 cents a share right now, right? I don't like how this is increasing volume as well, right? That doesn't feel like it's weak bears pulling into the zone, right? That feels like it's maybe a little bit of strength. A little bit better from Q, but don't like this from Tesla. Not a huge fan of what the old spider's doing here either. All right, Meta's now breaking down just a little bit, so continue to be cautious here. Gonna wait for these longer time frames. All right, so far I feel like we made a pretty good decision not rushing into this yet. So far, so disciplined, right? Just watching QQQ, watching the indexes here on my other screen. You guys can't see that, but I can. Remember, right? I don't have to try to be a hero and try to catch this bottom perfectly, right? That's a pretty aggressive way to trade. That's an expensive way to lose money. Right? What we can do here is wait for this 15 min time frame. It's gonna be a pretty low vol close, all things considered, inside bar. All right, so this will potentially reset up for us here on this 15 min time frame where we can look for another entry. I don't need to be super aggressive, right? Would have needed a absolutely perfect sniper entry to have been reasonably up on this trade yet, right? So I've had to basically buy that 94.50 touch if I wanted to be profitable here. So I'm okay being patient, right? Right? Tesla making lower lows. QQQ making lower lows, right? So there's no reason to be aggressive yet. Just be patient. Another inside bar here. So same idea now. Probably want to see like a little inside bar fake out. All right, as it stands, you have about 20-cent stop loss. Be very careful. My stop loss would be like 94. I said 90, 94.45, right? So I'm okay for a little fake out here, but nothing too crazy. All right, let's see if we can get maybe an entry here. Just watching this very carefully. All right, guys, I am in average price 94.53. 94.53. Stop loss is going to be low of day, which is 94.45. I'm risking like literally 10 cents here, right? About as tight of a stop loss as one can possibly get. And let's see if this thing can keep going. I'm going to look to trim some off here. I think around that 94.75, right? That's going to be my first profit target. And I'll try to get to that risk-free at that point, which we're at now. So I'm going to take a little bit off here, right? Trying to get a fill 94.76. I couldn't get it. And then stop loss will be my entry price. So I'll try and take some off here. 2 cents away. 94.76 is the target. Man, 5 cents shouldn't be this hard. Okay, 3 cents. Come on. Yeah, Phil, there we go. All right, so took a little bit off there at that 94.76. Stop loss now. My remainder is going to be my entry price. So we'll call it 93.55 stop loss on my remainder. And let's see if this thing can keep kind of running. But good little trade here now at risk-free. So cannot let this play go red. Be a 10-cent stop loss here, right? So that was pretty awesome. Really good risk management. Really patient entry. Let's see if we can get kind of paid out on this play. I closed about a quarter of my position at that 94.76. Let's see if this thing can keep going a little bit higher, but well done, everybody. Very, very patient trading. And let's see if we can get paid out here a little bit. All right, next profit target will be like 95 bucks. And I'll close half of what I have left at that point. Well done, everybody. Hopefully, a few of you guys caught this trade as well. Literally risking 10 cents. That was awesome. Nice, Jared. Nice. Not getting a ton of separation from that 94.75 here. So might get stopped out. Flat defeat on scraps, no big deal. Yeah, I got stopped out there, guys. Oh, not a huge win by any means, right? $111. But that's the value, right, of being really patient with your entry. You can get a little bit of some scraps. If you don't get that follow through, you don't get that follow through, but made it easy to be profitable on that trade, right? Because we bought 94.50 or 95.53. Sorry, 94.53. Okay, small little win, right? On to the next one. We'll see if something else sets up, but didn't get a ton of follow through. Okay, this didn't end up being a reversal spot. Well, you bought yourself the risk reward, right? You bought yourself the opportunity to be easily profitable there. I'll take it. Hey, not getting a ton of index cooperation here. Yeah, exactly. Not a huge mover. But we followed our process pretty well, right? We put ourselves in a situation where it was easy to be successful. We took a good chunk off at 2R, right? Our stop loss was 10 cents. We took some off 20 cents, which is 23 cents away from the entry price. Right? So that's pretty good. Yeah, we didn't get further follow through. We didn't get a mega move higher, but we followed our rules. We waited for our perfect entry. We didn't rush into the trade. Okay, yeah, shame. I would have loved to have seen this hit now $96. That would have been awesome. But not the conditions that we got there. And so on to the next one, right? Little win's a win. I'll take it. And everything else is breaking down here in the short term too, right? So I made the right decision protecting our entry. And yeah, $111 win. Let's go. too much volume on this Tesla, right, to be interesting for a BB bounce. And then everything else, that opening candle, maybe not giving me a super high conviction look, right? So like this opening candle on Meta for a breakout trade, you'd want this green or this arrow here to be a green arrow pointing up, not an arrow pointing down. Right? 'Cause a lot of this is telling me that a lot of this green volume, right, is selling pressure, not buying pressure. So if it's a lot of selling pressure and then kind of a lower low into that gap, I'm not being told that it's weak bears, right? Tesla is better, right? This is more the candle you want to see. The arrow would be pointing up, but then that next candle, right, is bearish engulfing candle, bearish engulfing on volume. So not a strong indication there, right, that bulls have reclaimed control, or this isn't weak bears in that context. So no breakout play, no weak pullback, right? That's an aggressive pullback. But yeah, any trade I can have 10-cent risk, I'm usually going to be pretty happy with that. Any questions about that AMD thesis here this morning? Happy to answer those, but seems like it's just going to be a lunch money day. Now we wait, right? We're slowly seeing price action maybe melt a little bit here. But we got to zoom out, right? We're very much still inside previous day's range. Very much kind of inside bar type price action, right? We're not seeing very much conviction. We don't have much evidence of this being trending price action. So there's no reason to be aggressive here. Right? Not enough volume on this Amazon reversal to be interested. So for now, there's probably not too much for me to do here in the short term until I can get a little bit more conviction on some of this price action, and I'm just not there yet. Right, so good decision to protect our entry here on AMD. We didn't leave any money on the table and put ourselves in a situation where it's easy to be profitable, right? Literally got a 2-hour move because all we needed was 26 cents. Or 23 cents, I think it was, right? So glad we didn't force anything. Glad we didn't do anything stupid. But doesn't seem like I'm going to get an opportunity here rest of this morning. So I'm going to be pretty patient. I'm going to watch this price action for a little bit. But as long as we're still stuck inside these ranges, not too much for me to do. And as long as we got a whole host of Fed speakers here today and rest of this week, hard for me to want to try to front run what they're going to say. Any questions about this morning's price action here, guys? I'm not doing anything too aggressive. I'm probably going to be making myself a breakfast here in a sec. A flush since. Watching this Amazon a little bit here, but I'm going to need to see an increasing volume profile on this bottom bounce. Not quite getting that here yet, so short term, I don't have too many reasons to be aggressive. So not enough volume on this Amazon, right? Not really for me. Even on the 10 min, right? Consistently decreasing volume, kind of top heavy candles, right? It's not exactly an indication of very strong price action. So pretty much across the board, I'm being told I need to be pretty patient. Don't see any reason why I should be aggressive here. So I'm on hands here, guys. I can't imagine I'll be forcing any or too many other decisions here this morning. Happy to be green. Not a big day by any means. Like I said, $100 here today. But yeah, no real reason for me to be forcing anything. Maybe on these 30-minute time frames, we can get a bit of a look. BB reversal look, like maybe on QQQ or Apple or Tesla. But we got a lot of work to do before those are really in play. I'm not super optimistic that I have that opportunity. So I'll just let the market consolidate, stay in its range, and then maybe we can get a nice trending day here later on. VIX 17.79. So we have seen it go up a little bit, but has now faded. I think I saw it as much as 18 at one point, right? 18.15, but since faded since then. So again, right? No real reason to be aggressive here in the short term. So yeah, I'm making my some breakfast here on the side. If you guys have any questions, obviously happy to answer them. But yeah, no real reason for me to be very aggressive here today. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Hanging out here, right? Not too much going on. A lot of inside bars, a lot of consolidation still here, right? But doesn't seem like there's too much going on. It always seems like that hint, right, is whenever we open up in the middle of the previous day's range, give or take the middle of previous day's range, tends to not be a very busy session until we break out in either direction. We've had a couple fake outs, but on the index level, right, those still remain stuck, and so we're not going to move unless the index is moving. Any questions here, everyone? Just hanging out, right? Not too much is changing. We're still consolidating. We're still relatively stuck. Pretty much across the board. Meta might finally give us that 239 breakout here at some point, but I'm going to need to see pretty impressive volume if that's going to be the case. Small win on AMD, that's it. Literally $100. But had 10-cent risk, so got like a 2R move off of that. But no real significant follow through. I'm not really sure what you're asking there, Jared, to be honest with you. I mean, this wasn't a BB reversal play, right? This was a BB breakout trade, right? Opening candle, right? Inside the bars, pull back. Stop loss needs to be low of day. So it's not a BB reversal strategy, right? This was a BB breakout. Opening candle, open inside, close outside, look for a pullback to try to get that breakout follow through. Can you give me a timestamp here? Like when it broke at 10:15, when it broke at 10:25? I don't know what you mean. Like, be more specific, please. So if I'm going to play a reversal, right, I need to see a reversal candle and reversal volume, right? So, okay, this candle making lower lows through here, fat bands. Okay, yeah, you'd have a setup here, but I would have no confirmation of that move, right? So I'd want to see a candle that's like this opening candle at the bottom of this range on bigger volume than that previous bar and like a formal indication that bulls are in control. So I don't have that, so it's hard for me to say that this is a reversal spot. The reason why I like those BB reversals at the start, right, if I can get a gap down, because I have the expectation of that volume stepping in, right, and bulls being able to reclaim that gap, right? But middle of the day when I get one, it's really hard for me to get bigger volume, right? So I always need to see 1, 2, 3 candle, right? Most bullish, second most bullish, normal body bullish, and then at least bigger volume than the previous candle. Preferably biggest volume of the day or like second biggest volume of the day, whatever. Hey guys, any questions? I don't think I'm going to be hanging out in the stream for too much longer. There's really not much reason for me to be trading this price action, right? Pretty slow. No value in over trading here. We're just going to get crushed. So I'm happy to be pretty cautious and pretty patient. And yeah, we'll see if something else maybe comes together the rest of the week. But I don't imagine I'll be forcing any more trades here this morning. Sounds good, Jason. I don't think we've really missed out on too much anyway, right? Look at the index level, right? If we're inside bar of an inside bar last week, right? There's no reason to now force until we basically break out of this range. And we're going to be relatively untradeable until that happens with so much Fed speak. OPEX this week, I just think we're probably not in a position where it's going to be easy to be profitable until we kind of break out of that range. So no point forcing it, right? No point draining the mental capital. And yeah, I'm going to just start getting focused for my one-on-ones with you guys this afternoon. And we'll jump into those calls, yeah, when they start happening. So yeah, I'll stick around for another few minutes here, guys, if you have any questions. But we'll be killing the stream in a few. All right, guys, if no further questions, then I'm gonna kill the stream here. Hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of the afternoon, and we'll be back at it again here tomorrow, 8:50 for that next pre-market prep. Hopefully we can get a breakout of this consolidation then. Otherwise, right, take that lunch money, keep stacking up, keep following our rules, keep just putting ourselves in situations where it's easy to be successful, and then everything else will sort of fall into place. So see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a strong session. And hey guys, it's 6 wins in our last 6 trades, right? So ultimately we can't complain too much, but it'd be nice to start getting some follow through one of these days. So I'll be back at it again here tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys all then. Peace.